You know those weeks where everything feels like a series of small tests, but somehow everything teaches you something bigger? It's been one of those weeks. In the past week, I guess it's been about the fumbles, the feedback, and I guess going with the flow. Um, from freezing at a work offsite, rookie mistake, blame myself, to being caught off guard, moderating a panel that I didn't know that I was moderating. This week has reminded me that mistakes happen, but how you handle them is what really matters. And somewhere in between all the chaos, a simple comment from a colleague reminded me that showing up as yourself, even when it's not the norm, is exactly what makes you stand out. Shout out Betty. I'm Ramat Tejani, and this is the weekly unfold where I share the asks, the fails, the lessons, and the gratitude that keeps me grounded and growing one week at a time. Let's get into it. I didn't really have an ask this week. To be fair, I was so busy doing. I didn't really ask much. I did ask, I did have to go into a pharmacy in Paris to ask for an equivalent medication that would help with a cough that I had kind of flared up as a result of being freezing cold. And they gave me these little sachets, which is fantastic. That was cool. But that's the only really ask that I feel like I've made in the last week. So yeah, pretty light on the asks in the past week. Picture this. You're at a team offsite and day one, the room is absolutely freezing. And you think on day two, maybe it will balance itself out with like everyone's body heat. And so you dress appropriately, but you don't wear your thermal. It didn't balance out. Let's just say I was underdressed for the occasion, and that made me slightly sick by the end of this day two. um, and yeah, it wasn't cool. But, but, then came along my colleague Kim, and she graciously gave me her scarf to keep me warm throughout the day. And then when I was leaving to come back to the UK, Kim gave me her scarf from my travels home. Kim is an absolute legend. She noticed how cold I was, and she was like, Ramat, we can't have you freezing on the way home to London. The scarf that I did have in my bag was like my headscarf that I use for prayers, and that's not thick at all. But she gave me her scarf and told me to keep it. She is a real one. Thank you, Kim. It's funny how a simple act of kindness can simply shift your day and save you from hypothermia. You are allowed to show up however you need to. I had a few comments recently about, I guess, like my energy in spaces, and honestly, I'm okay with that. But on this recent offsite that we had in last week, a colleague of mine that I just met in person for the first time, I've only ever met her on video. I was like on the thing on video, and she stopped me at the end of this offsite and she said, Ramat, I love your energy and I love how you carried yourself. Thank you. And I just like, thank you. Because when people make comments about how you show up in spaces or the energy that you give or don't give, you can start to question yourself and question whether or not you're doing things the right way. But when I sit down and think about it, and when I really kind of like introspectively look at myself and the way in which I'm showing up, I'm doing what works for me and what I need in the moment. And so to have her name that showing up as myself really worked for her and the rest of the people in the room it made me smile and I loved it. So it's just a beautiful reminder that authenticity will attract the right people. This is your reminder that mistakes happen. Last Friday, I hosted an event. It was a great event. It was all about AI and leadership. And I introduced a panel that was going to have a discussion. Let's just say there was a bit of miscommunication because I didn't realize I was supposed to moderate that panel. Whoopsie. Did I panic a little bit? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, I owned it. I said to the audience, I just need 30 seconds to collect myself. I did that, found the questions, and we ended up having an amazing conversation. And the panelists were amazing, the audience were great as well. And so I think there's just this reminder that mistakes are allowed to happen because you are human. But there's also this piece around giving yourself grace under pressure. That is the real win. Conversations with new people. It's been a really serendipitous week full of chats that have just reminded me how expansive connecting with others is. And I've had some beautiful conversations. Some people I have kind of like met virtually but never in person. Some people I've never met before. Some people we happen to be in the same event space and connected in that way. So yeah, I just met some really, really cool people, and I'm just super grateful, thankful for those conversations that have just sparked a few new ideas. So yeah, thanks and thankful and grateful for those conversations. Empty train seats. I got on the Eurostar to come back to the UK after having an offsite in Paris, and I was at like the back carriage. I think it was carriage 18, and like the seats were the last seats, and there was no one sat behind me. The last two seats behind me, and the lady who sat next to me sat down at like a few minutes before the train was ready to go. And we looked at each other and we were like, let's wait until the train moves before we start to move and shift before we can actually take up space on the train. And the train moved and no one took those seats. So she graciously moved to the seat behind and we both had like just that extra room. To be fair, I didn't notice it much. I was so cold and tired. I just slept most of the way, but it was nice to have that space. So yeah, empty train seats, thankful for them. I had a gentle nudge this week to start doing. I have been seeing things on my feeds and I've been having a few conversations over the past week that have just reminded me that at some point you just need to do the thing. So I am super thankful for those kind of like nudges because it means that I finally sent out some really, really important invites for or started to send out some invites for something that I've got coming up. And I've been sitting on it for a little while, and I'm just reminded that it's about progress, not perfection. So in sending those invites, a few people have already come back. People are really excited about it, and I'm like, see, like I just needed to do the thing. So yeah, that's it. Progress over perfection. Heading into week 44 or 52, honestly, it's a pretty busy week ahead, and I'm just reminding myself to pace myself and to give myself grace as we go through this week ahead. I've got a few things that I'm doing, and I know that I'm going to put my utmost best into those things, but I also know that I'm not feeling 100%. And I've spent most of this weekend just resting or trying to rest. And I know that if I go too hard over the next week, I'm going to break, and I can't really afford to do that. So yeah, looking forward to the stuff that I've got coming up, but also looking forward to giving myself grace as I navigate these next couple of weeks. As always, thank you for watching. I always say it, but I'll say it again. Stay out of trouble unless it's good trouble, in which case, go wild. And I will see you next time. Deuces.